Hello and welcome along to Aston Villa from the stands. I hope you well and enjoyed your day whenever you're watching this video. Make sure you smash a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're on the road to 15,000 subscribers, and of course get in the comment section whether that's live or on replay as we discuss the latest Aston Villa news and transfers. Big up to each and every single one of you. I hope you're good. I hope you're well. As the title said, 1 week to go to the mysterious 30th of June deadline, the PSR deadline. And the big question is, what on earth's going on? No one seems to know. No one has a clue what's going on. It's all quiet on the Aston Villa front. It's all quiet on social media. And sometimes fans are starting to say, listen, any indication would be good. I've got a good article, though, to show you about Richard Masters and what he has said on Chelsea selling their women's team and whether it's a loophole or not, and how that can impact Aston Villa. A really key article to show you. So make sure you look in for that one. And second of all, we're going to talk a little bit on Marcus Rashford. Again, another story has emerged about the Manchester United forward. Of course, he was part of the Garnacho controversy in a way yesterday, sort of, being part of that, commenting on him and his post and where he wore his Aston Villa Rashford shirt. But let's see what happens. Lots to discuss again. And any other stories that we think of or do come up, then we'll get involved in. But big up to each and every single one of you. I hope you're well. I somehow have misplaced my remote, which is, there it is. There we go. We're good. We're good. But yeah, let me know who's in the house. Let me know how you're feeling. Let me know if you're all good. And of course, run up those likes. As long as I said, we have a very interesting article to go through, and we're going to discuss this PSR situation. Okay, why has it come up again? Well, basically, first and foremost, Jacob Tanswell of The Athletic has done another article today, and it's got Villa fans talking again on social media. It's got Villa fans sort of discussing the fact of, what's going on. And Jacob Tanswell, he's tried to do this very thorough article, let's say. He's tried to do a very good article. But in this article, it's very clear, as some of the comments have said, and I'm going to show you some of the comments. He's basically, people have turned around and said, you've got no idea either, have you? You have absolutely no idea yourself. And people are guessing and guessing and guessing. And that's what I mean. The silence is sort of killing us in a way. So I'm going to show you how and why we're starting on this conversation point today. But big up to everyone in the chat. I really hope you're all good and enjoying your Monday evening as such. Big up to Farmitude, Farmitude, member for 17 months. Big up to you. And of course, been a long time member of the AVSTS clan. Really appreciate all the members, really appreciate all the subscribers, and really appreciate everyone who's just tuning in right now. We do appreciate it. So yeah, big up to Farmy. Great to see. Look, here's the article from Jacob Tanswell. And let's see how it goes. And I've just seen 85's comment. Yeah, we may have a way out of PSI in that sense, and not a good way. But look, it came up with this. This is where my starting point is going to start tonight. Jacob Tanswell tweeted, "The repeating talk of PSR is quite monotonous, isn't it?" Yes, it is. I'd rather be talking about anything other than football finances. But here we are. We're stuck on this conversation again for a reason. And yeah, look, but forgive me. Here's an update on Aston Villa's state of play, as well as arguing myself the fors and against reasons of selling particular players. And you think, okay, Jacob Tanswell, works the Athletic, has some good scope and knowledge in what he does, and came up with this article. However, if you actually go to some of the comments again, people are very frustrated. And here is one comment that caught my eye. And this is from Jacob Tanswell's approach. Let's have a look at this one. So someone put, "Doesn't seem like there's a particular hurry to get someone out the door by June, Jacob." Jacob Tanswell then replies, "There's still a hurry, but it's not quite the frenzy of chasing Douglas Luiz down to get him to sign for Juve." So basically, in a nutshell, he's trying to say, well, it's not as bad as last season. We were in a lot worse position. And then Kessler season said, "I don't get that. If the PSR is 50 million, that's more than what the Luiz one was." And people are saying it's 20 million. Some people are saying it's different. Again, someone else has put, "We either need or we don't. makes no sense. Not as in a hurry as last year. So are we? This is what we are confused at. Um, and again, I want to go to this one. Is it guaranteed that we have to sell someone by the end of June? This time last year, the Dougie situation was public knowledge. This year is very quiet. So I'm starting to question whether media reports are true. Um, and yeah, there's so many people just confused about what is the situation, and basically calling it lazy journalism. And then some people are even referencing Kieran Maguire, the football finance expert, and his take on it. And quite frankly, there is a lot of disdain and distaste in the Villa fan base, and you might be one of those people who are sat here still like me, going, "What's the truth? What's the truth? What is the actual truth going on here? Are we in a rush to sell or not? And if we're not in a rush to sell, then why have Villa basically not come out and calmed us down? Is this PSR stuff a load of BS? That's the question you've got to ask yourself. Is this absolutely a load of BS? So let's get into the Jacob Tanswell article. And then, as I said, I'm then going to go into the story from Richard Masters about the Chelsea loophole, because this is all I'm ever hearing from Villa fans as well. All we're hearing from Villa fans is we are going to sell the ladies' team. And I've had some fan base come and tell me, nope, you can't do that. That's not allowed. That's been blocked. That's been absolutely, put off. But Richard Masters has actually spoken. ABS, yeah, I've just put the flight a week early to get out. Is that true? Is that actually true? Far too close to what's happening for me to be comfortable. Yeah, fair play. Protecting and looking after your family. Fair play. And then I heard to get Connie Cobb, Porter Pollock, Donna Mahal, and Robert. PC still on the fist jokes. I love it. But here we go. Here's the article from The Athletic. And again, not many people have access to the Athletic as such. But I've got a way of being able to view articles. So here's Kamara Rogers Martinez. Who should Aston Villa sell? And again, it's all a different report from Jacob Tanswell. I want to put this up here, and hopefully you guys can see it. I've got a lot of tabs open tonight, which isn't great. Let me just make it a little bit bigger. There you go. It is a matter well told, widely reported, but few know what it takes to fix the deficit in Villa's account. Thought to be around 50 million after failing to qualify for the Champions League. Okay, pause on that, because I'm pretty sure, right, Kieran Maguire has reported it as being 20 million. So are we just making these problems up in our head? Do these problems actually exist? Are Villa in a PSR situation, or are we just plucking figures? We've got Jacob Tanswell here saying 50 million, 67 million euros. And we've got Kieran Maguire saying, no, Villa are about 20 million. So do we go in between? What are we saying? But this article is saying 50 million. Factor in Villa have we might be back. I think the Wi-Fi cut out very briefly. But yeah, I think our Wi-Fi literally just cut out very briefly there. We should be back, people. That was weird. That was weird. Am I back? Can anyone let me know if we're back? Are we back? I think the Wi-Fi completely cut out there. That is really annoying. Are we back, people? Let me know. Are we back? Are we back live? Please let me know. I'm just trying to work out myself if we're live or we're back. Let me know in the chat. We're back. Are we back? Okay, that was weird. That was weird. Wi-Fi just cut out. But we've made the recovery. Maybe we're being hacked. Maybe they don't like us talking about the PSR situation. Maybe we're onto the finances. maybe we've rattled the authorities. Maybe it's the talk of what ADFC 85 was saying in the chat that has got us on our lockdown. But yeah, big up to everyone. Make sure you're smashing the like button for that one. That's really annoying when that happens. But we go again. We're professional. We move on. We're all good. But yeah, apparently Snoop Dogg's in a Botafogo and love it. Hope you have better Wi-Fi when you move. Yeah, we do hope that, Pete. We do hope that. That's big up to Pete as well. But yeah, let's go back to this then, and then resume the show. It says rules. So yeah, I was saying if you see the acronym SCR, so if you see Villa fans come into the chat and mention the acronym SCR, that stands for Squad Cost Rule, which is basically us having to reduce the wage bill to comply. And we've got to get it down to spending on player and coach wages, transfers, and agents' fees must be capped at 70% of a club's revenue for the 25-26 season onwards. Something last season, Villa, I think, were at 90% at. I think we hit 90%. So we got a whole 20% to cut. Not ideal. Okay, this is where you might find it a little bit interesting. Club sources who have spoken on the condition of anonymity state Villa's wage to turnover costs are projected in the mid-80s, meaning they will have to remove further salaries from the books. In some respects, UEFA's SCR, with Villa participating in the Europa League next season, is more alarming than PSR. All these acronyms, and Jono said it in the chat. What we shouldn't be worrying about PSR. We should be worrying about SCR. And finally, as some of you alluded to, there's an article that Birmingham Live did today. Coutinho off the books. A massive Gerrard mistake. And when we sit back and really look at the problems of Aston Villa, Steven Gerrard is a massive problem. And maybe I've been a little bit too harsh on Monchi. Maybe. Because when you actually deep it and look at the problems that Monchi is having to resolve, he's actually picking up the Steven Gerrard era mess still. Even to this day, even 2-3 years on, we're still having to pick up the Steven Gerrard mess that he's left behind. Diego Carlos was on ridiculous wages. Then Donker, Philippe Coutinho, players with wages that quite simply don't or should not be anywhere near our squad. So when you look at that, and when you look at SCR, it's massive. It's absolutely massive. And so we're in this weird thing now of have we just been smoke screened by the fact that it's not PSR, it's SCR. Now, some people are so look at his argument for Luca Dean here. Okay. Have a look at the argument here for Luca Dean. So Luca Dean turns 32. Atletico Madrid need a left back. And basically, he is a top player. Luca Dean, as we know, had a good season. And basically, we've got two high-earning left backs. We've got Ian Maatsen and Luca Dean, both on a lot of money, and one is often on the bench. Dean also expires next summer. So Luca Dean has 1 year left, and we haven't given a contract or even started a talk. But look at that. He's on 120,000 a week. And we have a 37.5 million signing Ian Maatsen on the bench. The more you look at that, Luca Dean needs to go. Whether you love Luca Dean or not in the chat right now, and let me know. Are you still going, no, you want to see Luca Dean there? For me, Luca Dean at 32 years old, you've got 1 year left. We're not starting the contract. We cannot let him go for free. It would be absolutely ludicrous to let him go for free. And then on 120k a week with Ian Maatsen. Just remember that price we paid for Ian Maatsen, 37.5 million. It's just ridiculous. And I dread to think how much Ian Maatsen's on a week as well. So we've got to be smart there. And I think that, it's one of those that we have to probably have a strong word of ourselves and say, come on then, this ain't right here, is it? And it is Mr. Another One, and that's why people love him. That's why people love Another One. That's why they love him, because he's a fan favourite. He's got a personality. He's good to talk to. Fans seem to like him. He bombs down that left, but he is what I would say one of those that we must and probably should be getting rid of. Future is Matson and Illing Jr. for the left back position, saving wages, absolutely. Kevin is saying, my crystal ball is telling me we win the Europa League final tournament and go to City 4 days later, chilling, no worries. I love the positivity already. But yeah, and look, 32 years old, Luca Dean, you are right in that sense. So there we go. Big up to my guy, PC Lockdown in the house. Big up to PC Lockdown from British Columbia, my top Canadian. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere. Big up to PC. A fiver for the team. Come on, folks, turn up your pockets up the bloody Villa. PC, I really appreciate it. Thank you for your super chat. It means a lot. And always locking down the chat. I enjoy your humour as well. So yeah, big up, thank you. And I'm glad you're enjoying the shows. I really do. I'm enjoying the shows with everyone. It's what we like to see. Tell United shop in the Western Hemisphere for the Brazilian borders. They are. And that's why we are in. Big up to Moss, by the way, the Saskia Guna. Late night watch longs always from Moss in Canada as well. Listen, these Brazilians are showing us in the Club World Cup, and we are linked with Feyenoord's Igor Paixão. I butchered his name, I know. I like him. 30 GA in, 36 games? Unbelievable baller. But he is class and consistent, Luca Dean. We cannot deny that. But when you've got a 37 or a 35 mil plus player on the bench on a lot of wages, we've got to get it. I forgot Jesse March manages the Canadians. And big up to the Canadian Junior. Big up to Moss. Big up. Right. Listen. Next player. Next player. So yeah, Luca Dean, someone we've got to weigh up and probably say ta-da to. Kamara. Would you see Kamara go? 2 years left on his deal. This is the final window to sell Kamara for a substantial fee. He's had injury issues since joining 2022, which is true. And we've got Onana, another £50 million player sat on the bench. I want to know, first and foremost, chat, could you live with Kamara going? If we didn't sign another CDM or another central midfielder and we kept what we had in our squad, would you be able to live with Kamara going? Do you think Tielemans, McGinn, Onana, Barkley, and then you could even say Bogard potentially is number 5 in there? Do we have enough? Can we live with that? Is our squad good enough for that? What do you think, chat? Let me know. Could you live with him going? Can't sell Kamara, rather see Onana going. And that is the problem. We've got £50 million Onana again on the bench. And so we talk about the Steven Gerrard era and errors. Okay? We talk about the Steven Gerrard era and errors that Monchi's having to pick up. Well, why don't we change the conversation to the fact as well that I think there's a few Unai Emery and Monchi errors at the start as well. I think they're still scrubbing up some of their own mess. But yeah, we did have to sell Duran, unfortunately, for the money, and that sucks. But yeah, look, personally for me with Kamara, I'll say this, and this is how I felt with Kamara at the end of the season. I actually thought he looked a little bit lazy. He looked a little bit off the boil, and I actually started to think to myself, what is it? And why is it we absolutely love Kamara? Like, what is it we say and sit there and go, oh, this guy's the guy? Why is it about Kamara? I think sometimes he single-handedly shows us how important he is. And I think sometimes we've also realised, as Peter sort of said, we've actually lived without Kamara as well and been able to cope. He does have injury records. This is the time to cash in on him. Will we make it count? We're going to have to wait and see. So I think Kamara is most certainly an option, especially if we get a high price for him. Leon Bailey, another one in terms of wages, trying to get him off the books, etc. And there's other players like Ollie Watkins, Jacob Ramsey, all being spoken about. And this is why this transfer rumour mill is absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Now, I got this up the other week for people to see, which is the Aston Villa wage bill. And I'm going to show you again, just so people are sort of aware of where the wages were at on the weekly salary. It's not accurate as such, but it's as close to as seeing as you could. And it's this one. Here we go. Have a look at this. Have a look at this, people. I'm going to get a bit bigger. Leon Bailey playing Panama tomorrow night. Yeah, he did hit the crossbar and score a goal. And I think he hit the post as well in his last Jamaican game. So, can I see it with the wages? No, I don't want annual salary. How do I scroll across? How do I scroll across? Okay. Well, you can see the bigger earners here. No, I want to see it. Sorry, I want to see this. Okay, weekly salary. As I said, the two things that are rent free in my head about our weekly salary is these two right here. No, it's Donyell Marlon. I'm just going to put it right out there. People, Donyell Marlon is on 140k a week. To sit on the bench, to be an impact player, you got to be joking me. 140k a week. Now, again, how accurate these are, we'll have to wait and see, because Rashford's reported salary is about 325,000. But we're talking here that Donyell Marlon is on roughly 140k a week. Someone go find my head, because it keeps falling off every time I see that. As is Amadou Onana, our £50 million man who sits on the bench, 140k a week. What is going on with some of these wages? I've got to ask, that is on Monchi as such. And what's going on with that? John McGinn, a high earner on 120k. But if we're actually looking, a lot of people got a lot of faith in Donyell Marlon. And fair play. I'm going to put it out there. Right, to be honest with you, I've got zero faith in Donyell Marlon being the player that we're hoping for. I don't know why. I feel like, do you know what I feel like is going to happen, Marlon? I think he'll get injured quite early on in the season for a long time. And it's just going to be one of those signings that never worked out at Aston Villa. One of those signings that we've paid a lot on the wages. And one of those signings that I'm just going, why? The thing I've got with Marlon is that he's looked good when he's come off the bench. But when he's had his starts and opportunities, he's ghosted. And he hasn't seized them. But there's a big season ahead. There's a big chance ahead. I know it sounds negative for me about Donyell Marlon. Listen, the reason why I'm saying it is because when we signed him, there was a lot of negative Dortmund. There was a lot of Dortmund fans who told us just to relax, that this guy's not that great. That's all I can say. I need to see him. Again, my favourite thing is I love to be proved wrong. I love for my football club to sit there and individuals go, what an outrageously bad shout that was from you. What an outrageously... I'll tell you one of my worst ever shouts. I'll be real. One of my worst ever shouts is the first season when Newcastle qualified for Champions League. So that was what, 2 years ago? Maybe even 3 seasons ago. Guess who predicted the first manager to be sacked that season when Newcastle went on to get Champions League? Yeah, me. I predicted Eddie Howe to get sacked. I predicted Eddie Howe to have a really short spell at Newcastle and to get sacked after he had the Bournemouth job. Look how idiotic I look now. He's only gone on and got the Champions League twice and won the Carabao Cup. Love to be proved wrong. That's an example I can give you. So with Donyell Marlon, if I'm wrong, the more the better. It means Aston Villa are doing well. Just got my reservations. I've always said this, and I've been quite crystal clear of this. Any player where I cannot tell you his position within the first 2 seconds cannot be a top player. If I can't tell you what position they play, it can't be a top player. Mason Mount can't be a top player. Don't know where you play. Where'd you play? You're not a top player. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry, Mason Mount, but I don't know where you play. Yeah? So, let's see what happens. He did have a brace for Netherlands the other day off the bench. And then he did get that Champions League rejection, which must have hurt him as well. But let's see. But look, to be clear, the wage bill is there. And this is why Jacob Ramsey is a really interesting conversation. I'll show you why Jacob Ramsey is a very interesting conversation. Jacob Ramsey is reportedly on 70k a week. So he has nothing to do with PSR. Jacob Ramsey has nothing to do with the wage bill. Mm-hmm. I haven't got the charger. Jacob Ramsey's nothing to do with PSR. Oh, I keep saying it wrong. He's nothing to do with the wages. He's to do with PSR. If we sell Jacob Ramsey, it's to basically sort out our PSR issue. But he's only on 70k a week, so he's not one to get off the wage bill. Ross Barkley, lovely little fee on there. Ross Barkley, a lovely little wages of 60k. Bogard, 8k a week. Courtney Hawes, he was on 10k. Remember that as well. Courtney Hawes, we've lost him. He's gone. Contract terminated. So that's 10k freed up on the wage bill. But do you know what I mean? Matty Cash, again, only on 80k. Rogers, Concert, and Ramsey are below where you put them. Do you know what I mean? Ezri Concert, 75k a week. And Daniel Marlin's on 140. Do you know what I mean? There's a mixed opinions definitely on some of these players. With Jacob Ramsey, there'll be mixed opinions as well on what we do with Matty Cash. I mean, do we keep Matty Cash in the squad or what? Maatson. So here's the issue. You've got Ian Maatson on 100k a week, who's second fiddle to Luca Dean on 120k a week. Make that make sense. Absolute ludicrous wages. So yeah, we need to sort that wage bill out and we need to do it quickly. And I think that, again, my sort of take and stance on things right now is Aston Villa, I think, have put a massive smoke screen up for us. The smoke screen is, maybe it's not PSR, maybe it is SCR. So, the news that I want to share with you. This is what Richard Masters has said about Chelsea selling their women's team, because we've heard a lot of rumours about that. Okay? And it's right there. Richard Masters speaks out as Aston Villa learn the truth about £200 million Chelsea loophole. Chat, I'm really sorry, but I cannot hold the toilet. I've got to go. I can't concentrate because I actually need to go to the toilet. I've been trying to hold it, but my mind's not focusing as such. Give me 30 seconds. Do not go anywhere. Enjoy the article. And let me know in yourself, first and foremost, again, do you think what Chelsea are doing or has done is a loophole or not? Selling their women's team to themselves, is that a loophole? Yes or no? Do you think the Premier League and Richard Masters are just doing it because it's Chelsea and they're sort of letting them away with it because they're part of the Cartel 6? Let me know. I'll be back in 30 seconds. Oh, I'm back. I'm so sorry, chat. I am so sorry. I can concentrate now. I can concentrate. That was crazy. I thought, do you know what? Push through, but I couldn't. But that's enough details on that. Here we go. Richard Masters then. The Cartel 6, are they protected or not? And let's see what happens. This is, again, where we have to go with, okay? Richard Masters has firmly stated that Chelsea have not exploited a loophole by selling their women's team to a sister company for 200 million. Okay, I like the sound of this then. The move by Blueco enabled Chelsea to adhere to PSR rules and post a pre-tax profit of 128.4 million in the 23-24 season. To put it into perspective, the sale price was many times more than the reported 30 million Wes Edens and Narcís Suarez paid to buy 55% of Aston Villa in 2016. It's so clever. Masters has now spoken on the issue for the first time after being questioned by Sarah Craig, a Fulham fan representative at Football Supporters Association event. See if I can get this. SK raised concerns about Chelsea Football Club selling their women's team for a reported 200 million to pass profit and sustainability rules, thereby exploiting a loophole. Richard Masters said the club hadn't exploited a loophole as what Chelsea did was permissible, and he emphasised that all transactions are subject to a fair market value assessment. As Masters correctly noted, the deal remains subject to Premier League approval, just like the sale of 2 club-owned hotels did before the value of the transaction was reduced. So it still actually hasn't had Premier League approval. Chelsea have even confirmed that the agreement includes a clause requiring an adjustment to the consideration receivable in the event in the Premier League's determination of the fair market value differs from the 200 million recognised. So basically, if the club isn't seen or valued at 200 million, they're going to adjust it. This is where it gets funny. Oh no. It says Chelsea's women's team may have only generated revenues of just over 11.5 million, but their potential has been recognised with Reddit co-founder Alexis Ohan purchasing a 10% stake for 20 million. So all sorts are going on there in Chelsea, and they're finding money and money. Now, this is where it comes to Villa. In April, Bloomberg claimed Villa were considering selling a minority stake in their women's team, but this has not yet happened, nor has the club ever confirmed that speculation. So pause on that. All these rumours about Villa selling stakes in the women's team has never once been an official source or claimed by the club itself. In fact, if we'd be really brutal and honest, it's come from Bloomberg. So everyone who keeps saying this, we're going to be selling the women's team or stakes in the women's team, we're going to be all right. Well, we're still waiting. Now, interestingly, that name means a lot in the footballing world. That is true. I can agree on that as well. Bloomberg. PC says maybe start all the time with Chelsea. Sounds like teams rolling in the day from a women's Super League perspective. Plus, they win trophies. Exactly. We've got to get her to Chelsea for a trial. And yet, do please like and subscribe. Please appreciate that. People do smash the like button. Let's run it up to 35 likes right now. We can do that easily. But let's go back to this article because it is quite interesting because it does help from a Villa perspective. It says, what is clear, though, is that having lost Champions League revenue for next season, Villa have to make up the shortfall or manage losses to comply with PSR year on year. I have been saying that. I think the failure to qualify for Champions League isn't this season, but it will be felt more next season. Earlier this month, the Premier League failed in its bid to prevent clubs from selling assets to sister companies to comply with PSR. Thank goodness that did go through. A proposal to close the loophole that allowed Chelsea to register a profit from selling hotels and their women's team to a sister company did not even go to a vote at the Premier League's annual meeting. However, this investment in Chelsea's side could still influence Villa's valuation, as Stefan Borson, a former financial advisor to Manchester City, has pointed out. And here we go. Listen to this. As I said, finances, it may not be a thing, but this is massive for the football club. And Chelsea's women's team is worth 200 million. All of the value in the women's team that justifies 200 million is about what the women's games looks like in 2050. And it's not what it looks like in 2025. So basically, it's a future projection. So definitely need Starry in the game in the future. He further explained that early achievements in the women's game are less significant compared to future prospects. It's irrelevant in the formative years of the women's game that Chelsea won trophies because it's all about the future value. So it's not about what Villa have done in the past, it's about what Villa are going to do in the future. So for Aston Villa, it's what will the future look like for our football club? How big will it be? So if it's all about the future value of a top football club franchise in the women's game, that applies to most Premier League clubs, regardless of their current size. Newcastle, Everton, Aston Villa's women's team are all worth over 100 million on the Chelsea valuation metrics because it's not about what they've won so far. It's about what they might be worth in 25 years' time. So just to sum that up, very wordy, but let's just sum that up. Basically, when it comes to the women's sale team, it's all about what that women's team will look like in basically 2050. Do you know what I mean? And so, roughly, we compare it to Chelsea, we should be looking at around 100 million for that women's team. Oh, happy days. Happy days, people. Happy bloody days. Big up Meeks in the house. Made it. Big up to you, my friend. Hope you're good. Listen, 100 million for the women's team on those metrics. That's what we want. But as Brian is saying, this is all just a scam. It's a farce. It's a weird financial situation. And I'm going to say this again. I don't like the fact that we are sat here as Villa fans having to sit and talk finances over a load of bollocks. I want to talk about the football and state of things. I want to talk about what it looks like on the pitch. Not all this nonsense or PSR, SCR. How many more acronyms do we need to make up? I mean, the worst acronym, VAR, is bad enough as it is. But let's just have a load more acronyms, shall we? Just to wind us up. Absolutely crazy, absolutely pathetic, and I'm not having it. But let's see. So there's some information. Going back to it, really, no one's got a freaking clue what's going on. There's a lot of guesswork. My guess is that basically, I don't think we're going to sell anyone before the 30th of June. I think we're going to see this loophole be cashed in, be injected. And do you know what? I think Villa are waiting till the very last minute to do it. There's been radio silence. I think we'll wait until the last minute to do it because I think there's going to be some fans who are absolutely going to be up in uproar about it. Up in uproar about us selling the women's team. And there's going to be some fans going, who cares? Who cares? Yeah, I might have to put a Europa League emoji in, actually, Fraser. That's a good point there. Also, just had something come through from Fabrizio Romano about a Manchester United striker, and it's not Rashford, but it is the fact that there's this Chelsea-Man United swap deal for an Nkunku and Garnacho, and apparently Mason Mount wants to stay. Important because Garnacho, obviously one of those players that I was really scared that we'd get linked with. It does seem that Garnacho and Nkunku could be in a Chelsea-Man United swap deal. How dusty are those two clubs? How dusty are those two clubs to do a deal like that? And exactly that, Meeks is spot on. This is a consequence of performances on the pitch, Josh. If we turned up against United, our financials would look much better. And that's where I maybe got frustrated with some people on that game against Man United on the last day. That game against Man United on the last day. My first thoughts, I was in crisis mode. I was in meltdown. I was like, this is shite. Why? Because I wasn't worried about being in the Europa League. I was worried about the fact that I know the financial implications. Yeah, Fabrizio Romano, Mason Mount not planning to leave Man United. He is absolutely trash. He's absolutely got a Baggio, says Moss. Agree. Again, I'll just say, if Mason Mount can tell me what position he plays, then I might start to take him seriously. Got no idea what role or position that guy even takes to the field. And that's a sign of a bad player. The Europa League financially is crap. I think I gave you guys a statistic about this, that something like a club who didn't even qualify through to the next round of the 8 league games earned more money or the same money than Spurs did winning the whole thing. Something like maybe Celtic earned the same amount of revenue as Tottenham did for winning the Europa League. Just let that sink in. Tottenham earned the same revenue as Celtic, who failed to qualify, and Tottenham won the whole thing. That's massive, people. And we can beat around the bush now, and we can be these football fairy tales and all this and the gloss of it. The bottom line, the stinking line, is that money talks. And as nice as it is for Villa to be 3 seasons in a row in Europe and being in the Europa League, and I hope we bloody win it, the brutal side of the game and the ugly side of the game is the finances mean everything, and it's cost us. And just to put it even, and I'm going to use Celtic as an even further example. Why do you think there's such a gulf between Celtic and Rangers at this current time? Why? Celtic qualify for the Champions League every season, and guess what? The money's got better. And Rangers are in the Europa League every season and just about scrape through into a quarterfinal, maybe a semi-final, and they do go on some runs. But the prize money is golf. So when it's even, there's such a disparity in Scotland that Celtic and Rangers are light years ahead of the rest of the league. But there's also a massive gulf now between Celtic and Rangers because the prize money from the Champions League kicks ass. It's crazy. Rangers will not be able to close the gap on Celtic unless Celtic have an absolute monstrosity of a season with tons of injuries and a meltdown from Brendan Rodgers. Yes, they've got Russell Wright now, but we're talking about prize money. And Fraser's right, you get around 3 million every UCL win. So let me just say that stat one more time. Celtic earned the same, if not more money, who did not get out of the Champions League group phase than Tottenham did for winning the whole thing. Sickening. So yeah, the football on the pitch matters. And unfortunately, I think Villa are going to get hit hard with the PSR situation next season because of that. So again, if you're going to ask me, if gun to my head right now, what the season priority is for next year, 100%, 100% has to finish Champions League. 100%. Whether that's winning the Europa League or finishing the top 4 or 5, I now get it. I now get why Arsene Wenger called it a trophy. But I'm that hungry fan, like a lot of you probably, who also want a trophy as well. So I'm putting the standards massively high for this Villa team. I'm saying you've got to go get me top 4 and you've got to win me a trophy. I've just seen Newcastle do it. Yes, they didn't have Europe, but we got to go do it. And that's it, Fraser. Top 4 in Europa League. There. That's my prerogative. And that's the standards I'm setting. So let me know in the chat right now. Are you on that wavelength? What is your season expectation for this Aston Villa team? Despite seeing 0 signings and 0 outgoings right now, current state of mind while supporting Aston Villa, what are your season expectations? What are you expecting? Let me know in the chat right now. Big up to all of you. Let's get 50 likes on the stream right now, people. Let's run it up. We can do that. And yeah, I want to know what are genuinely, you might be completely different to me. What are your season expectations? Is it simply qualify for Europe again? Or are you going to give me a position? I'm going to say it right now. It has to be a top 4 finish. Or if not a top 4 finish, we have to do what Spurs did and win the Europa League to get Champions League. So yeah, there we go. Let's go to the next thing I was going to talk about. But yeah, that's interesting. Mason Mount's there. I went on a sidetrack rant there. It happens, and that's why I love it. I love it. I love that we get sidetracked sometimes on these sort of things. I forgot where I was going to go, but let's just go to the Rashford situation then. Let's go to Rashford. Marcus Rashford is unwilling to take a wage cut on his current $325,000 a week salary. So Manchester United would be open to sending him out on loan again next season. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Just let that sink in. 325k a week and you're still not willing to take a wage cut. And I was saying this to Heidi. I actually think that Rashford is one of these players, again, who's in this football vortex. He's in this football vortex of no man's land. Your current club don't want you. And you're not willing to take a wage cut and no one can afford you. What the hell do you do? And we laughed and said, do you know what? Why not just sit if you don't care about football that much, why doesn't he just go rot out at United and get his 325,000 a week? But I talked about how the clubs do make it difficult for you, especially if you're that guy who won't want to, integrate, take a pay cut, and then it becomes an act of stubbornness. Can Villa afford 325k a week? Hell no. Especially because we're trying to comply with SCR. The only way we get Rashford is a loan deal, like they're suggesting in that article. But then the second thing I'd probably say is, if he was to ever sign for someone permanent, he's got to half that wage straight away. He's got to half that wage. I don't think even Barcelona could afford 325k a week. In fact, I'd question what other football clubs out there can afford 325,000 a week. Thank you, love. I really do not get it. I really do not get it. 325k a week and you won't take a wage cut. Behave yourself. Behave yourself. So there we go. What are your thoughts on that one? Number one expectation of next season: root beer available at Villa Park. Big up the root beer. Big up the PC. I learned about the root beer from you. Banner says, "What do you mean by 1 week to go? 1 week to our PSR deadline, Banner. 1 week to our PSR deadline. Supposedly, if it's true." Pietro wants a top 8 finish plus Europa League. I only expect us to steamroll the Europa League no matter the cost. Exactly. No FA Cup or League Cup runs then. I think Pete, you've raised a great point. Basically, what I'm saying is, Pete, if I had to put it in black and white, win me a trophy. I don't care which one, and Champions League. Just give me that. I'll be a happy man. Win me a trophy, give me Champions League football, and next season will be an absolute blast. But yeah, Rashford, again, people, the likelihood of him going on loan seems very, very strong to me. I think Rashford is dead set on going on a loan. And I think Rashford 100% will come back to us in that sense. Right, there's been a really dodgy rumour going around about Ollie Watkins to Manchester United. I've seen a few a few Man United channels do that today. But yeah, I'm trying to find where these rumours are. Some people have had Ollie Watkins to Man United. I don't know if anyone can see it or if they're just trying to find a striker. But Manchester United are clearly on the lookout for a number 9. And yeah, somehow Man United getting linked to him. I cannot find anything on here. But as I said, I've seen a few YouTube channels do Ollie Watkins to Manchester United. Yeah, like for example, this was here. Ollie Watkins for 40 million. Pavel slashes scouting out Man United transfer news. Whether it's real or not, I don't know. But I'm currently trying to quickly skim read and find something about Ollie Watkins and Man United, and I'm really struggling. So I don't know where these Man United fans have got this rumour from about Watkins and Manchester United. But there we go. They have been, again, admirers of Ollie. They need a number 9. Again, there's rumours about Christopher Nkunku, as I just talked about. Yeah, if you do go on the latest, Ollie Watkins to Man United is something that's going on here. And they think this is what I mean, though. This is the agenda on rival fans. Here we go. Look at this. This is just the perspective of how they think they can nitpick. This is how they feel like they can nitpick Aston Villa. They say Aston Villa is in huge PSR problems and need to sell fast. What? Manchester United need a proven striker, and Ollie Watkins is my hear me out transfer for the summer. Listen. What is this BS about us being in huge PSR problems and need to sell fast? It's what everyone keeps telling me. It's what rival fans keep telling me. It is true, Moss, as well. They're struggling to land targets, so I think they're just throwing anyone at it. Yeah, I did notice that PC actually. Alice has been a big fan of the Villa, but yeah, I just think that I'll come to that as well. That is a true rumor. I'm going to show you some more news on that, Moss, because that's going to be a massive player if we do. I just think people, Ollie, and apparently it's from the 4th official. Okay. How reliable that is, I don't know. I basically feel like Manchester United are just throwing mud at any rumour they can, and whichever one lands, they hopefully can get a player landed. I can't see Watkins going. And as I said, the latest news from Fabrizio, I'm going to quickly show you so you just so you can get away, because it does influence Villa. It does influence Villa because it says there it's Chelsea and Man United discussed Nkunku Garnacho last December. All parties informed, but no club-to-club talks now yet. Whether that one revives will be an interesting case to answer for. But yeah, so we're going to show you a few more rumours today. And also, the Jack Grealish story has emerged again. I was going to hold off on that because I thought it might be useful tomorrow. But do you know what? I'm enjoying talking the Villa with you guys. So let's keep going on that. Again, another rumour. Man United are just propaganda merchants. I'm pretty sure Man United pay the media to spin this shit. They get linked to everyone. They get linked to everyone. They get linked to everyone. Um, but yeah, big up to everyone in the house tonight. By the way, make sure you smash the like button, people. Let's get 50 likes. Let's run it up. Big up Callum as well. Rashford was working like crazy to recover the ball in wide areas, even though he was playing up front. He had a great work rate, didn't he? He had a great work rate. And Man United are just propaganda merchants. It's true. Look, let's get you into this new rumor here, the most exciting one. We talked about this guy yesterday, and I'm really bad. If someone could give me some phonics on his surname again, it's gonna get linked to everyone. They're gonna get linked to bloody win in a minute. If you don't know who Win is, that is the Arsenal dog that Mikel Arteta brought in. Ironically called him Win, and they haven't won anything since. So yeah, Man United are probably going to get linked to that dog at one stage. They're getting linked to everyone. Hopefully they get linked to Matty Cash or something. I don't know. But there we go. A little dig at Matty Cash there. My bad. However, let's go to this guy. Igor Paixão. Paixão. Oh, Paixão. Paixão. Thank you, Callum. Igor Paixão. I might have nailed that or I might have butchered it. Who knows? But Callum's coming to help me out. So Aston Villa are willing to pay big for Feyenoord winger Igor Paixão or Paixão. I don't even know how to say the name, but we're going for Igor. Now, why is this guy catching my eye? Because his GA is absolutely through the roof. I got to keep banging on. Some people don't like, GA, and some people say, "Oh, GA this and GA that." I'm sorry, but his numbers in itself are just absolutely astronomical. And I'm like, how has this guy not been linked to absolutely everyone? How is he not linked? He's also Brazilian. And I actually quite fancy a Brazilian player to come to Villa and flare it up a little bit. Do you know what I mean? I fancy him at 24 years old. I fancy a flair player to come in and absolutely don it for us. But have a look at this. Have a look at this. This is his GA. I just want you to, again, if you're on the stream last night, you'd have saw this. And I'm probably going to go to it every time and say, this is what we need. This is what we need. We need a guy who plays 100% of starting 11. He's that good. He got picked for every game. 34 games, 34 appearances from possible 34 games. 16 goals, 14 assists. I don't care if he's in the Dutch league. To produce those numbers of that magnitude tells me this is a top player. It tells me a player who's got 30 GM, 34 appearances is exactly what Aston Villa need. Great temperament as well. No yellow cards, by the way. No yellow cards. Yeah, sorry, PC. Very, very poor pronunciation from me, but we're working on it. We're working on it. But I love PC's humor. And Callum says, helps being a Latin American historian. Wow, Callum, I like that. Igor Paixão. There we go. I think I've got it now, thanks to Callum. Get him in, says Brainy Bryant. Exactly. Guys, we're missing goals in our team. If Watkins ain't hitting the net and it's not Morgan Rogers, we've got no goals in the side. That's how I feel right now. People are holding out on Donyell Marlin. Let's see what he does. Jacob Ramsey, if we're going to keep him, he needs a massive season with his GA. Bailey had that season 2 years ago that was, unbelievable. But we have not had goals replicated in the manner in which we need. And this is why I'm saying, give me Igor Paixão right now. Give it to him. Because this is a guy who I know will come with a flair, with a directness, with an excitement for the Villa Park crowd. Get him on that wing, get him on the left-hand side, get him doing his business, and let's get that GA in England as well. And we definitely need more players to chip in goals, and that's a problem that we need to address. And this is what I'm saying. In pre-season, do you know what? In pre-season, I want to see us look more attacking. I want to see more goals shared across the team. I don't want it just being all on Ollie and Morgan. So that's my stance on it. And let's see what happens on that. Let's see what happens on that. But yeah, what I'm going to do is I want to show you what Where is it? Here it is. This is done by Birmingham Live. This is done by Birmingham Live. It should work in a second. Here we go. Whether we believe this or not, it's up to you. But I'm going to show you this final article, which will be interesting. Here it is. I'm going to share. My multitasking skills terrible. Here it is. Jack Grealish. This is today. Jack Grealish gets green light for shock transfer reunion as Aston Villa watch on. The former Aston Villa captain is expected to depart Manchester summer amid interest from Napoli. Now let's see what they've got. I haven't even read this article yet, but let's see what they're going on to say. This was done today, 23rd of June, so I want to see a new update, hopefully. Or is it the same guy, sort of crap? Napoli have reportedly reached out to Kevin De Bruyne for the lowdown on his former Man City teammate Jack Grealish amid growing speculation over the England playmaker's future. That's quite interesting. They've gone for KDB's opinion on Grealish. We know Grealish is leaving, blah, blah, blah. Now, fresh rumours say De Bruyne has been questioned by Antonio Conte over the potential benefits of bringing ex-Villa captain Grealish into the newly crowned Serie A. As I said, I've been saying this for ages. Antonio Conte is trying to build an ex-Premier League 11, I swear. We're going to see an ex-Premier League 11 soon with Conte. The Mirror indicated that De Bruyne, has communicated a positive thumbs up to his new club regarding their alleged interest in Grealish. Yet concerns linger about the feasibility of matching Grealish's hefty 300k a week. Well, let's pause right there. We ain't signing Grealish if he's on 300k a week. Again, it would have to be a loan deal only. We are not looking for a 300k a week Grealish. He's going to have to take a pay cut if he wants to come to us. Now, it goes on to say here in this article, City are looking for a 40 million asking price for his transfer. So they're taking 60 million loss on Grealish, by the way. Imagine that, 60 million loss. 60 million loss. Napoli want to go to 200k a week. But where's the talk about Villa in here? This is an article from Birmingham Live. Yeah, we're actually not getting any links apart from him going to Napoli. What a terrible article that is. So do you know what I mean? This is why, I'll be really real with you, right? So what a waste of time that was reading that, right? This is why I actually prefer the journalism from independent journalists online, on Twitter. That is a clear example of how crap journalists are going. That article had no direction in it. It was very misleading and didn't tell us anything about Jack Grealish to Aston Villa. A load of crap. So, yeah, we'll hold off on that one. But the main takeaway points are from today, essentially, are we're 1 week away from 30th. We have no idea what's going on, but we are allowed to sell the women's team. Second of all, Rashford, wages, big issue. Villa need to sort their wage bill out. The SCR is just as important as PSR. And we've had good debates about Manchester United. What we're going to have to see and what we're going to have to hold on to now is where and what happens in the next few days. Are we going to be doing dealings with Manchester United? Are we going to be looking to get rid of the likes of Coutinho very quickly and terminate his contract? Is Kane Kessler-Hayden? Is Enzo Barrenechea? Is Dendoncker, Buendia? These type of guys, Moreno, are they the answers? Are they the answers to solve our issue? And that's why we're in for a busy week, an exciting week, and I cannot wait, Villa fans. I cannot wait. And I hope you guys are good. I hope you guys are well. And yeah, we've got a big week ahead. So yeah, we are going to wrap up now. I really appreciate all your support as always. Make sure you've got that notification bell turned on. I always say that, never miss an upload. Turn that notification bell on. It's right next to the channel name. Turn it on, turn it black, and then it's turned on for all notifications. And yeah, stay safe, stay braced, and see what happens. But we'll be back again tomorrow for more news, more stories, and more drama. And yeah, PC is getting warm. Must be nearly -20 off for a swim in the lake. Love that life. Big up to PC. Guys, you've all been legends. Smash a like on the way out. Subscribe. And if there's anything you've said in the chat and I've missed and you want me to see, comment directly after this stream ends on the video so I can have a look at your thoughts, your feelings, and your emotions. Big up to everyone. Take care. Have a good night. I'm out of here. Ta-da.